Hi guys, Dark Aperture here, and today I'm with a long-awaited build that I've wanted to do again for a long time. Anyone remember that previous build I made? That build an awesome $200 to $220 game PC build? That build is nearing 500 views, and I have to say thanks for that. That's my most popular video. So, likewise, I made a new build. With rising prices, it will cost more. I can't get to that budget level again, and stay on FM2, sorry. Likewise, there are improvements. An A-plus power supply. I'm not going overkill on the RAM to save money. The the CPU is on FM2, and it's a relatively new CPU, and I mean new, like nearly around today new. And just look here. It's also got USB free and SATA 6, something you will rarely see on a build of this class. It's got a 250 gigabyte hard drive. It's a refurb, but that's larger than the 160 gigs I had in my last build. I'm taking updating this very seriously. Don't joke around. This, so, let's do this. Let's do the sequel to my Build an Awesome $200 Game C build. Now to start off, I'm going with the AMD A4 4000. Now this is the newly released Richland low-end APU. You can get 25-30 FPS and maybe even more because it's newer than the FM1 CPU I used in the previous one on 720p low settings. This is basically a 720p boss. And you're getting what you pay for $50. Considering this is a CPU and GPU all in ones, and considering what you get out of it, that's pretty awesome. Now for the RAM, instead of going all out with an 1866 memory, which doesn't even work with this APU, I went with Corsair, just some generic Corsair 4 gigs of DDR3 1343. Don't be fooled by its look, it's still got very good quality inside. I'm taking this seriously, and I keep misspelling things. Wow. It's the max RAM speed the E4 can handle, which is 1333. And it's the only 1333 RAM from a brand I trust that's cheaper than 1600 RAM. And it's also low profile, so it can add a new heatsink onto the E4, and it wouldn't really matter since this memory would just be underneath it. It's also an excellent price at $25. Now, when I go onto the motherboard, and now this is what really puts this build far ahead of the competition. I went with the MSI FM2 A75MA E35. It's a $60 motherboard, actually the most expensive part in this build, which is kind of awkward, but it's got USB free, SATA 6, it fits everything in this build, it's high quality. You rarely find USB free and SATA 6 in any other build. And this build isn't based off some random deals that are going to expire in a few days that will seriously jack up the price, which gives this build its edge. And while I consider myself one of the ultra budget build leaders. Now it's $60, so that's pretty good. I'm pretty sure it's got a UEFI BIOS, which is always something nice to have if you're trying to tinker with this thing, even though you can't overclock. Now for the hard drive, I went with a 250GB Caviar Blue. This is a refurbished Caviar Blue. It's got 7200 RPM performance, and 250 gigs is larger than 160 gigs. This is also $35, which means it is a better deal than this 160 gig Seagate Barracuda I could have used for $5 less, and I don't like to make compromises like that. You're paying just $5 less and losing almost 33% of your capacity, and in the value build race, I decided that's not possible to do. It's not acceptable. Now for the power supply, I went with something you rarely see in these builds as well, unless you count Tech Syndicate. I went with a Seasonic 300 watt A plus bronze power supply. Yes, sure, it's a 300 watt. Wanna laugh at me now, dude? It's only 300 watts. You rarely see this as well, but I wanted an A plus power supply. I just couldn't bring myself to not including this A plus certified. That was the key flaw of my $220 Game C build. Forget the 160 gigs of storage. Forget any other compromises I make. Forget the potentially inaccurate prices. That lack of A plus was the compromise, and I don't like that. Living with that under my head in any of my builds when they're the modern versions. So I went this power supply. It's $40. And sure, you could spend this and get some cheap power supply brand. But take I'm just poking fun at Logicus. They have good quality power supplies. Then you have their bad quality power supplies that are cheaper. If you get for one of those cheap power supplies, your computer's gonna blow up in 6 months. No offense to Logicus. You guys do have some A plus power supplies, and I'd say those power supplies are good. But your non A plus ones are like any other non A plus one. So, $40 for this 300-watt power supply, that's really good. Now finally for the case, I can't get a quality case in this price, so I went with the Apex SX393C. Now Apex is always welcoming you with open arms at this price range, with their low quality but accordingly low price cases that still have quite a bit of room to offer for upgradability. So you could make this a home for your next build when you're ready to get out of here. After killing off your console with this thing, you're ready to step up your game, you could use this case for your next build. People might laugh at you, but it's no big deal. And this case does look pretty decent, actually. I like its design, though the vents are a little, just weirdly placed and all. It's pretty good. And it's $25, which is pretty nice. Alright, so the final price of this build is $231. $1 over budget, no big deal, but you could always save those $5 and give up 33% of your storage. You could always save $20 and go for a crappy power supply, but I don't recommend that. I don't want to spare. I want to make as little compromises as I need to, and only compromise in the most desperate situations. You're getting one of the best budget builds you've ever seen in this price range. None of these little deals that are major $100 deals or something that is going to go out tomorrow. Or it's going to go out tomorrow and then cause the build to cost $100 more. This is pure. This is the price you'll probably be getting for a long time to come. So if you're watching this a month from now, this might still be the price. In fact, it could be lower. So that's me legit. If you like this build, subscribe to me. It helps me out over here. And keeps me motivated to do more builds. Like this video too, that's also really nice of you. And goodbye. I finally got this sequel done. I'm so happy now. Now just to wait a year so I can do this again. Goodbye, guys.